I'm going to share with you my breastfeeding experience. I'm going to tell you what worked for me, what didn't work for me, the products that I've used, possibly prices if I remember how much the items that I have cost. But yeah, I had experienced the very worst in the beginning, and now it's just like a beautiful thing. So let's recap that. DJ was born June 10th, and once I had him, I didn't know how to breastfeed. I didn't take a lactation class. I took a birthing class, but it didn't really talk about breastfeeding. So once he came out, we waited a couple minutes before a doula came in. They requested for a doula to come in and help me latch him on. So I don't know how long that took. I want to say maybe 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. I was kind of just hanging out. And when she came in, she walked me through it as far as, okay, you know, like try to hold your boob with 2 fingers and put it in his mouth when he's opening and dropping his jaw. And so I did that, and she was like, okay, good. He naturally knew how to latch on to my boob. And she said everything looked good. She said he was sucking, because you can tell over here how, I don't know if it was, he was naturally dropping his jaw this way. There was no, he covered the majority of my areola. It didn't hurt at the time that he was doing it, but I think because I had so many emotions as far as him coming out, I was happy, I was tired, and now I have this baby that I need to breastfeed, and it felt fine when she was there. So she said everything was just going well, and to continue doing that. Right now he is going to intake the colostrum, I think that's what it's called, and then in a couple days I should receive my milk coming in. So it's like, okay. So she gave me a couple tips, talked to me for a couple minutes, and then she left my room. So I fed him, I don't even remember how long. I just remember that I fed him, and then shortly after they took him away so he can get weighed, check out his length and all that stuff with the nurse. So after that, we went into the recovery room, and in the recovery room, I was having, I did the same thing that the doula had mentioned to do, like use your 2 fingers, try to put it in his mouth when he's dropping his jaw. And so I did that, but then as like the hours passed and the day passed, I started feeling sensitive, tender, pain, and so I was thinking in my head, like, I know what it looks like. I know that, you know, I'm supposedly doing this correctly because the doula said so. And it didn't look any different from when she had left. So the nurse, you know, when the nurses come in and out of your room, they ask you how you're doing, how you feeling, do you have any pain? So when they asked about breastfeeding, I did say, yeah, it hurts, it's tender. So they requested a lactation consultant or rep to come into my room. And so the weird thing was that when she came into my room, I was showing her that the doula told me to do this, and she said, no, try to grab your boob, like literally in a cup, and then put it towards him, because the weight of your boob, the baby's not used to it yet, so kind of help him or her carry that weight into their mouth. And so I said, okay, but it was kind of hard for me to kind of like maneuver my hand towards him, as my hand was like going like this, should I go like this, and my arm was all being all funky, and so that was a bit uncomfortable for me. However, once I got him to latch on, which luckily for me, he was actually latching on perfectly. I didn't really know what I was doing, but DJ was able to naturally know what to do. And so when she came in, she was like, oh yeah, that's perfect. You see the jaw, I can hear him swallowing correctly. He wasn't choking or anything like that, right? So I was like, okay, cool. You know, I know, so the doula said I'm doing it right, and now the lactation consultant said I'm doing this right, so I should be good. And so I was telling her how tender my nipples were getting, and she was like, well, that's gonna be normal because in the beginning your nipples are going to be stretching. It's going to not let down a lot of milk instantly. Your body still has to get used to it. So it's gonna be painful because of the changes that's going on with your nipples. And I said, okay, you know, that makes sense. So I was just trying to just breathe it out because, oh my goodness, it hurt so bad. Like it was really just sore. But you know, you don't ever feel that pain until you're literally breastfeeding. So it was quite a mess for me. So I just did it. I actually haven't stopped, but I did it as, you know, as long as baby wanted to eat, because, you know, in the beginning they're cluster feeding, and then a couple weeks you'll start getting into your routine. So I continued doing that. Once I got home, that's when I was like, holy camole, this hurts. I felt like I was just going to HD double hockey sticks and coming right back. It's like, it hurt so bad that oh my gosh, I remember that I would like clench my toes, and like I would literally hate breastfeeding him every time I knew it was time to feed. And the injuries that I had, I bled, I cracked, I scabbed. Oh my gosh, it was just so horrible, like such a horrible experience. And I read everything as far as like what I could look up on YouTube. Not YouTube, well, I did YouTube. As far as like the mommy websites on what to do with breastfeeding, and everyone says, yeah, it hurts in the beginning, you just have to have the proper latching and all yada yada yada. Everything I read was pretty much correct latching, but if the doula and the lactation consultant said I was doing it correctly, then what am I doing wrong? Why is it still hurting? Because breastfeeding is not supposed to hurt. So after all those injuries, bleeding whatsoever, I, you know, looked it up on YouTube, and I was like, okay, I need to try different things. I need to know what to do. So I found that you can also do a football hold for breastfeeding. So normally you would do the cradle. Let me step back here. Normally you do the cradle and breastfeed, but since I was in so much pain, I wanted to try anything I could. And so I tried the football hold, where the football hold is their feet is back this way. Their feet would be back here, the head would be here, and then you would kind of just hold the baby like this. And I think that helped a lot. What also helped was that knowing my posture, like okay, I would find myself going like this a lot because I'm like, oh, you know, trying to have my baby reach for my nipple. But at the same time, you kind of like have to have a good posture, have a straight back, and then have the baby come to you versus you trying to go like this, if that makes sense. But yeah, I did the football for maybe almost a month, or maybe not even a month, maybe almost a month, until I felt comfortable doing the cradle. Because when I went out to public, I wouldn't hold the baby cradle. I mean, I wouldn't hold the baby football, I would hold the baby cradle. So when I was doing the football, I was also transitioning into cradle, so I know that this is what it should feel like. Is this comfortable for me? Is this comfortable for baby? But yeah, that was one of the things that I tried, was the football into the cradle. So that was good. And then watching other YouTube videos on like signals on when to actually put the nipple in their mouth is when they drop their jaw. You can put your nipple like on the bottom of their mouth so they can open. And I've seen some where they put the nipple on the top of their lips so they open that way. It's just a lot of different techniques to do it. I think you just have to understand your body, the location of your stuff, how and when your baby is going to open their mouth. There's just a lot of like fundamentals to it, and I just kept trying to push through it and say it's gonna get better, it's not supposed to hurt, he will help you get through this, and you know, the more you feed, the more you'll have milk and all this wonderful stuff, trying to keep positive, because breastfeeding, oh, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. And so yeah, so other things that I found on YouTube were football, and then to use nipple cream. So the nipple cream that I use is a Lancinol, and I've showed this before in a video. I use this nipple cream and I literally generously apply that onto my nipple. So before, DJ would feed about 1.5 to 2 hours. So literally right when he's done, I would smack this baby on to my nipples because it would hurt so much, and you can see the cracking. And I didn't know I was bleeding until he spit up and it was blood. And I felt so bad because, you know, who wants to drink blood? So I looked it up, it was normal. The baby will know the different taste. But if it's too irony for the baby will not drink your milk. So luckily he still drank it, and I healed eventually. But yeah, so nipple cream helped me. This is probably, I think, my second tube that I used. I stopped using nipple cream around, I want to say 6 weeks. And then I started feeling okay to the point where I didn't need it anymore. So I actually had an extra. This is actually not finished yet, and I have an extra one, which I had an extra one, but I gave it to my sister-in-law. So yeah, nipple cream, yes, you have to have it. The next thing is when at the time I was bleeding, I was going to San Diego, and I didn't know if I was gonna still be injured. So I bought a contact nipple shield, and the different brands like Medela, Lancinol, I don't know what other brand makes it, to be honest, but I bought this and I never used it. Bought it from Amazon, never used it. It's not even open yet, but I do have a picture of what it looks like. And the nipple shield helps you and the baby latch onto your boob, or if you're injured and you want technically less contact from the mouth of the baby and your skin. So this is a silicone type of material, which acts like your boob and as soft as your boob. So I can't really say how this really is because I never used it, but here's a picture of what it looks like. When you use the Lancinol nipple shield, Medela also has a nipple shield which is slightly different in the shape. So if you are going to use a nipple shield, just go ahead and look at the reviews. I typically like this brand, so I just went ahead and bought it off Amazon. And so the other thing was, when I first got my milk, like 3 days after giving birth, I leaked and I was just squirting out milk. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? And it was actually pretty funny, kind of just squirts out. So then I had to invest in, what is this? Nursing pads. Invest in nursing pads. So this is the Lancinol. I used the Medela one at first, but the Medela one is so thick that I didn't think I leaked that much to actually buy a whole box of the Medela one. So I bought the Lancinol, and they're much thinner and they're very easy to use. So I'm pretty sure every packaging has that seal, and then you open it up. There should be like a little opening right here. You open it up like that, and then each one has 2 adhesives on the side. I use Parent Choice as well, but the Parent Choice padding stuck to my skin. I didn't really like that, so I like this better. It's much softer. The material I think it's a better quality compared to the Parent Choice, but it's up to you and what you would like. But yes, I use these nursing pads to help me soak in all that leaking milk when it happens. I don't think I leak as much anymore, but I still use it when I go out. I do try to not use it when I'm at home for the whole day to kind of see how that turns out, and so far I've been doing good. I may turn over to the cloth nursing pads, but I don't know. So I think that's it. I think I covered everything. My journey has been very interesting. I went from the very negative side to the very positive side. I think my pain level for breastfeeding was just really, I was able to take a lot, and although I complained and said all these nasty words to myself, it was all worth it. So I know breastfeeding is hard, but just continue doing it. I think my pain lasted for about 2.5 weeks, and then around 3 weeks I was like, okay, I'm getting used to it, I'm getting better, this is good. So it's just always remember the pain is gonna be temporary for now, but it gets better in the end. And as far as pumping, I did get a pump from my insurance, and I was afraid to use it at first because I didn't know how it was gonna feel, but pumping is like my best friend because when he started sleeping longer, I would get full. So you would want to pump within the 2 hour, 3 hour mark if your baby is sleeping. So yeah, I was able to freeze multiple bags, and I used a Lantinol bag. Actually should have brought one with me. I used a Lantinol bag to store my milk, and then I pop it into the freezer. Pumping, if you can, pump as much as you can so your body knows that once you're emptying out, you need to produce more milk. I just remembered that I also use the fenugreek pills. The fenugreek pills, I use the fenugreek pills because I felt like I was not producing enough. But come to realize that I'm producing enough for him. I'm not overproducing. So, in the beginning, I was only pumping 1.5 to 2 ounces, which is normal because, I mean, my baby only drank that much. When he started going to 4 ounces, I started producing 4 ounces. And so I believe this had helped me, but I'm just not 100% sure. I do take this on a daily, about 4 to 5 tablets a day. But aside from that, I do pump constantly. I mean, continuously. No, you know, it's come to be a routine for me. So you need, if you're going to pump, make sure you pump on a routine so that your body knows you need to produce more milk. But yeah, I also take the fenugreek pills to help me out. Now I think that's it. So if you have any questions, comments, please go ahead and write it down in the description bar below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.